Hello everyone and welcome back, and today we're going to be doing a response video. Now, I haven't done a response video in a while, and this video that I'm responding to, with no hyperbole, is probably the worst video I've responded to so far. And that's saying something because I have made response videos to Anita Sarkeesian, Justin Dennis, and Perfection. But this one is worse than any of those three. Basically, what we have here is two people trying to justify infidelity under the guise of polyamory. And this video is so poorly made, so disgusting, and not because of the subject matter. Oh no, while the subject matter is most certainly controversial, it's not really anything that would make me sick, like say pedophilia or incest. However though, the video, the editing is so poor, and the audio quality is such shit, you can barely understand what they're saying, and you can barely even hear the points that they are making throughout the video. Now, I considered enhancing the audio so you could actually understand what they're saying. However, I'm not going to do that because I really want to emphasize just how poorly made this video is. And these people, throughout the video, they contradict themselves. They don't actually address any of the real arguments of polyamory. And it just comes off as two people. They are in a controversial relationship, and they're trying desperately to defend it. Now, I know I might be stalling, but I just want to prepare you all for the video you are about to see. I'm not exaggerating, it really is that bad. God help us.
Hey guys, so I wanted to help out my boyfriend Scorch making this video about poly, and the first thing I want to say is that this video isn't meant to try to convert anyone to poly or just say that it's for everyone. It's just to define what it is, debunk some common stereotypes, and answer a few questions. Without further ado, Scorch, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mag. Well, I'm Scorch88, or just Scorch, spelled with a K. Boyfriend to Mag, husband to Raven, my wife, Polly.
You see what I mean? With this video, the audio quality is so poor you can barely understand what the hell they're saying, and even if you can, the editing is so fucked that you can't understand them. Basically, she has her video edited like PJW or Yahtzee. Well, I got news for you. You are not PJW and you are not Yahtzee. This audio is completely fucked. This editing is completely fucked. Now, for those of you who watch my channel religiously, you may possibly recognize this girl. If not, this girl, she calls herself Mag, and to respect her anonymity, I will not use her real name. However, it is worth noting that her YouTube name is literally just an abbreviation for her first, middle, and last name. But a while back, me and her did a live stream on net neutrality around the time when that whole drama was going down with net neutrality and a Jeep Pie. Well, she made her own YouTube channel, deleted it, and made a new one, where she re-uploads videos of models in bikinis and occasionally cosplayers. Why? I don't know. I guess because it's easy and she's become much more lazy lately, as if the audio and editing wasn't evident enough. And I know I might be harping on the quality of this video, but it really is that bad. Most of this video is just shitty stock images. They post very little evidence or anything of that matter. And I know you might be wondering, why are you spending so much time on addressing the quality of the video rather than their arguments? Well, here's the issue. They make very little actual arguments within this video, So there's very little for me to actually attack here outside of the quality and the very few arguments that they make, which just range from arguments from emotion, anecdotal evidence, or bringing up religion and straw-manning the people who have arguments with polyamory. However, let's try to address some of their arguments, in air quotes. Now, I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead because the first minute of this video is just them explaining polyamory, and I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit to their first set of arguments to save time.
There are a few different types of poly, but the one we'll be talking most about today is when everyone in the group is dating each other. Now, I know when most people think of poly, they probably think of the Mormons or Muslims, but it can be done outside of that religion. We're Christians, for goodness sake.
Now, I want everyone watching to keep this in mind that they say that they're Christians, because it's really going to bite them in the ass later on in the video. Now, while it is true that most people think of polyamory because of Muslims, Muslim culture is one of the only cultures where polyamory is very widely accepted and not controversial. But my question is, why bring up your religion at all as if that has anything to do with the video or even the discussion? In fact, if anything, bringing up religion was possibly the worst thing you could have done. You bring up that you're Christians, and now you look like hypocrites as a result. And I will show why. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God, Peter 2:16. Consent is important, but is not the only qualifier for a committed, love-based relationship. Living with your son desire as the highest priority is not Christ-like. Christ came to serve others. You cannot be fully committed to two people. Your time, physical affection, emotional devotion, and resources are all split up. Pure, unbridled desire is your God, not Yahweh, not the God of the Bible. Genesis 2:24, a man shall leave his parents and cleave to his wife, singular, and they two, only two, shall become flesh. So we look at these quotes and already we run into a problem. They are essentially using religion as a shield, as they show later on in the video, by bringing up examples of polyamory within the Bible and Moses' law. However, there is something they do not mention within the video, that being that all the quotes from the Bible that say that polyamory is okay, that is all from the Old Testament. It is all before Christ. And as you know, since you people are so-called Christians, guess what? The Old Testament is no longer valid. Basically, they are cherry-picking, and the fact that they are Christian shows that they are hypocritical. This reminds me a lot of those Christians that use the Old Testament and Leviticus law to justify homophobia, or why we must have legislation against things like gay marriage. It comes off as extremely dishonest.
One thing I need to debunk right now is poly isn't an open relationship. Even with the poly where everyone is dating one person, no one in the group is allowed to date someone outside a relationship unless it's agreed on first, with the goal of adding the dated individual to the family. Just like in a monogamous relationship, there's agreement and commitment in the group. Otherwise, it would be cheating. The exception is they are dating someone outside the family with agreement, with no goal of adding them to the family, then that would be open marriage. But that would be the same for either monogamous or polyamorous.
Oh, and that somehow is supposed to make it better. Now, let's ignore the fact that you are not being faithful to your lover, and you are loving another person that is not them. However, this is an argument that often gets brought up when the discussion of polyamory comes up. Well, I'm consenting to it, nobody is being hurt, and everyone agrees, so therefore it is okay. This is an extremely flawed argument. Let me explain. Let's say, for example, a brother and a sister decide to agree to be in an ancestral relationship. Would that necessarily make it okay? So, can I justify being in a relationship with my mother by just saying, well, we're consenting to it and we came to an agreement? Because that is essentially what you're saying. People have used this exact same argument to defend things like incest and pedophilia. I've seen many videos that do this. And look, just because something is consensual doesn't necessarily make it okay. And no matter how you slice it, just because you agree to it, it doesn't make it alright. I mean, think about what you're saying. As long as the people in the family, in air quotes, put it, and I love how you try to use the word family to sugarcoat it and not make people think what they're already thinking in their head, that it's three people with commitment issues that are whoring around with each other. Let's ignore that and focus on this. So here is another really huge problem here. So let's say a year or two down the line, Mag decides to bring Joey into the relationship after she has gotten bored with you and your wife. What do you do then? Do you classify it as cheating, or does she just make you come to an agreement and they join the relationship? The problem with polyamory remains is you are already not being faithful, and you are already telling yourself in your head that it's okay to date multiple people as long as you have their consent. So essentially, if for whatever reason Mag or your wife gets sick and tired of you, all they have to do is just use these mental gymnastics to convince you to allow other people into the relationship, and then the next thing you know, Mag is bringing home Joey, and your wife is bringing home Sally and Bridget.
Another common question is, how do you deal with jealousy? This can be a big problem with lack or poor communication. The key word is communication. If there's a problem going on, the group needs to work it out. For an example, the wives are angry at each other, and the third party member who can help out both sides to come to an understanding. This is a great advantage that poly has over monogamous relationships.
Now, this is just a very stupid point. How does having more people in the relationship make it better? So you use the example of the two wives arguing, and you say that it's better because the husband can help the two wives. How does that necessarily make it better? Think about it. Dealing with one wife can already be pretty stressful for most people, but now you have two, and depending on what the wives are arguing about, chances are they're going to have two conflicting opinions about what they're arguing about. So now you have to deal with the whole issue of you have to take someone's side. Do you take the side of each wife? Do you agree with both of them? Or do you try to get them to agree with each other? This puts so much more stress on the husband, because oftentimes people who are in arguments will inevitably have their own side, and they will make those who are arguing to try to make them pick a side. Think about how difficult it can be to just get two friends to stop arguing. And in this instance, depending on the circumstance, this can be a really fucked up situation because the wife can easily make you pick a side or they will leave. Or it can lead to a fight if the husband can't get them under control. Regardless of how you look at it, this situation puts twice as much stress on the husband. This is what happens when you have more lovers. This is what happens when you suffer from more syndrome. Because the more you have of something, it doesn't necessarily make it better. Just because you have two wives arguing doesn't mean it's going to magically make the problem of two arguing wives even better, because chances are they're going to have conflicting sides and they are going to force you to pick a side, and depending on the wife's personality, she can put a lot of pressure on the husband or gaslight him. And what if there is a child? What if one of the wives decides they're sick and tired of the relationship and they decide to leave and take the child with them? What do you do then? What happens if it's not her child, but she wins it in the custody battle and takes the child with her because she believes that she's entitled to the child, or just to spite the husband? You see, when you have two arguing wives, you don't have a better situation. You have twice the stress.
There's also no favoritism in the group, because this will quickly swell into resentment within the group. For the case of everyone dating each other, or everyone is treated equally. Sure, some may like one over the other, but they do not act on and still care for everyone in the group equally. Just like monogamic relationship, its communication is very important, and it's even more important within poly relationships.
You serious?
Oh boy, I love inconsistencies. Don't all of you? No, seriously, Mag, did you not read over your own script? Or did you make this video after a post-coils of dick and sweat? Seriously, can you not proofread your own scripts? Actually, I probably shouldn't be saying that, because I know you, and I know that you do not have the ability to proofread anything. And if you showed this to your husband, then he must not know how to proofread, or he didn't even read it at all. Seriously, first you say that there is no favoritism in polyamory, and then you immediately say, sure, there is favoritism. You have contradicted yourself within the same sentence. So, which is it, Mag? Is there no favoritism in polyamory, or is there? Because you can't have it both ways. And I got news for you, Mag. We will always have favoritism. It is within our nature. From the very dawn of our existence, women have always had favoritism when it came to picking mates and lovers. Same with warriors. Warriors would always have their favorite warriors to stand by their side, because it would mean a matter of life and death for them, so they would want only the best warriors. And I love how you keep bringing up equality like it's a good thing. You do realize that equality is in fact not a positive trait at all. In fact, equality is actually quite evil and synonymous with fascism. Now, let me explain. If you love both of your wives equally, then that means that there is nothing exceptional about them. So, what is even the point? You see, the problem with equality comes if we are all equal, then why do we all have different personalities? Why are some people smarter than others? Here is the reality behind polyamory. There are always going to be lovers that are more nice than others, or will be better in bed, or have more time to spend than others. You can keep bringing up equality like it's a good thing, and keep saying that equality is good and everyone gets an equal amount of love. How the hell does that work? What is this? Some kind of soup kitchen where you're giving the proper equal amounts of food to everyone? Seriously, this is an impossible expectation. You cannot guarantee an equal distribution of love. That is not how this works. You are absolutely naive and delusional if you believe that you can give equal love. That is not realistic. And there is always going to be favoritism. Chances are there is something that you are better at, Mag, than Scorch's wife, and he will likely take that into account.
Some people find it impossible to love more than one person, and for some, maybe. I'm not going to act like as if this kind of relationship is for everyone, but it's possible, just depends how big of a heart group has to share. The argument of, you need to love one person, or you need to fully commit yourself to only one person. Even, you cannot love someone fully if you desire another. It never made sense to me. Like, do you love your mom or your father? Yeah, you love your partner too. By that logic, you can't. Or by your children. You should love your child and love your partner. So, do you have room in your heart to love more than one person? Then you might say, that's not the same kind of love. I get it where you don't sleep with your mother or father, but you still love them. I bet the majority of you would do anything to save them, even sacrifice yourself to save them or your child. And the intimate long-term one is no different when it comes to how much you can share. You can love multiple children, as a good parent should. So can you love multiple partners? It's about balance and good communication.
Now this is a loaded handgun. And what we're going to do now is kill ourselves because this is horrible.
Oh my god, do I seriously need to explain why this makes no fucking sense? Guess I have no choice. Now, here is the main thing that you are not taking into account. Or you do know about it and you just blatantly brushed over it, is that there are different types of love. For example, there is unconditional love, romantic love, affectionate love, self-love, familiar love, enduring love. You can even have guilty pleasure kind of love, where something is so terrible you end up loving it. Now, while it is true that you can love multiple friends, you can love multiple pets, you can love multiple kids, here's what you are not taking into account. You are not taking into account the many different types of love that there is. Obviously, you do not love your friend the same way that you love your dog. You do not love your wife the same way that you love your daughter. And that is the issue here. You dilute and simplify what love means so it's easier for people to accept it. I mean, think about it. You're just telling people that, oh, you can love multiple family members and you can love multiple pets, so why can't I love multiple lovers? Well, there are various different reasons for why that is. It depends on how you love them. Think about it. Let's say you love Mag more than your wife in a sexual way. You love to have sex with her more than you love to have sex with your wife, and it causes her to become extremely frustrated because you are giving her none of that same attention. Or let's say that you love your wife more unconditionally than you love Mag because you love her in more of a sexual way. This lies the problem. When you dilute the definition of what love means and you simplify it so much, it causes issues. Now, yes, it's possible to love multiple people, but just because you can love multiple people does not mean that you can love multiple romantic partners. And the reason for this is quite simple. You say it never made any sense to you. Why can't I love multiple partners? Well, there is a reason for this, and I can only assume you must not have had much healthy romantic advice explained to you. The reason why is quite simple. In order to have a committed relationship, you have to have one thing: commitment. So if you're not willing to be committed to your girlfriend or wife, you will not be capable of having a committed relationship with them. This is why polyamory doesn't work. By its very nature, you are having multiple people. And if there are multiple people, you often don't have to address any of the complex issues that come with polyamory. And I will list some of them. You get busy at work and have to prioritize which of your partners to spend your limited free time with. You start liking one partner more than another. You fall in love with a new partner and become obsessed with them, neglecting your other partners. One partner is better in bed than your others, causing you to start comparing them when having sex. You get into a fight with one partner but not the others, leading your other partners to take your side. They subconsciously hope you will break up with the other so they will get more time with you. After all, they have an agreement with you, not your other partners. One of your partners has no other partners and thus is more attached to you than you are to them, frequently asking you to leave the other partners. You get into a fight with all your partners at the same time, making your life a living hell, at least temporarily. Two or more of your partners meet up, decide they have similar grievances with you, and either confront you or decide to both leave you. One of your partners catches an STI because they don't have the same agreements you have about safe sex, or because they weren't careful, or because of random chance, putting your partner, you, and perhaps dozens of other people at risk. One of your partners finds a different partner with a more desirable physical shape than you or much younger than you. You have children with one of your partners, which means in practice you are babysitting while they are off having sex with someone else. You have children with one of your partners, which means sometimes while they are having sex with someone else, you have to call them up and tell them to come home because it's an emergency. You or one of your partners becomes unexpectedly pregnant and the father is unknown. One person becomes pregnant, the father is unknown, the mother wants to keep the baby, and none of the men who want to be the father want to have a baby or pay child support. And that is a big one that most people in polyamorous relationships don't bring up. One of your partners experiences very poor health and needs lots of care. If you help, you will neglect your other partners and potentially lose them. But this person has few other people to turn to. Your health takes a turn for the worse. perhaps contracting cancer or some other serious illness. You can't work, you need 24-hour care, but another of your partners also has cancer and needs 24-hour care. They choose to care for the person instead of you because the other person has more money. They like them better. They were dating you first. You get the idea. Any or all of these situations, or any of a dozen more, requires long, painful, emotional conversations, processing to deal with, if they are even going to be dealt with honestly and consciously. Monogamous relationships are also complex and subject to problems, but polyamorous relationships multiply these problems due to having more people involved. And this is the issue of more syndrome. The more you have of something, the less value it can accumulate. However, the more you have of something, the more issues you can obtain. For example, some iron is good for your body. Too much iron can cause damage. Some water is good for your body. Too much water can overhydrate you and kill you. Some time outside in the sun is good for you. However, too much time out in the sun can leave you sunburned. You get the idea. These are very complex issues, and they don't get better just because more people are involved. The more people that are involved, the more the relationship issues double or even triple.
I've noticed after getting into the group that our bond's even stronger than ever. I kind of like joke that we're all the same person, and of course we're not, with some differences. But for example, I don't like My Little Pony, but Scorch and Raven do. Scorch doesn't like cooking, but me and Raven do. Raven doesn't like to debate, but Scorch and I do. We all complete each other and make each other all into a better person. I've noticed throughout years of dating that one person's weakness is going to be another person's strength, making each other well-rounded. And this is especially true for at least us.
This is an incredibly pointless tangent, and it doesn't even make very much sense. You say that your bonds are stronger because you're in a polyamorous relationship. However, the examples you use are, well, Scorch and Raven like My Little Pony, and I don't. Me and Raven like cooking, but Scorch doesn't. You say that collectively this makes you better. However, this is pretty stupid. I mean, think about it this way. Let's say I have a daddy, and he likes to do outdoor stuff like hiking, ATVs, skateboarding, whatever. However, I like to play video games, and he doesn't. Does that mean that I need to just bring another daddy into the relationship? And let's say I do. How does that necessarily solve the problem? It still doesn't mean I'm going to get to spend more time with that daddy. If anything, it's going to take time away, because while that daddy is out hiking and doing whatever, I'm staying home with the other daddy playing video games. Thus, time is being taken away. The solution is not just simply bringing another person into the relationship that happens to like this super specific thing, because that's quite foolish and stupid. I mean, okay, so let's say Mag likes dogs, but your wife hates dogs. So what is the solution? Are you just going to bring someone into the relationship that does like dogs? And going back to the other example, so you say that they hate My Little Pony and you don't. Let's say one night they decide to watch My Little Pony together, and you don't want to watch My Little Pony, so you go to do something else. Or let's say you're busy at work and they're enjoying themselves watching My Little Pony and bonding over how much they love My Little Pony while you are off doing something else. this immediately punches a hole in your argument of equal love. Because in order for you to have that equal love, Mag, you will have to watch My Little Pony and bond with My Little Pony. Thus, you are having to be forced to do something you otherwise wouldn't enjoy under the guise of equal love. And this is another great evil behind equality. And furthermore, wouldn't it make more sense to just take that person that you love and try to help them enjoy these things that you otherwise wouldn't love? Like, that seems to be the much more reasonable solution. Instead of just bringing someone into the relationship that likes this thing through your love and good skills of persuasion, just teach them to like My Little Pony. Now, sure, you might still hate it regardless, but it's still much better than just saying, you know what, I don't like My Little Pony, so, you know what, I'm just gonna go do this while you go spend time with your wife, thus leading to me having less time with you. I can remember where there was a time that you didn't really like or care about video games. The most you would do is watch people play video games, and I used my skills of persuasion to help you appreciate video games much more, to the point where now you have a Steam account, you play video games when you otherwise didn't for the many years that I knew you, and you are trying to be a game developer. That makes much more sense than just saying, oh, we'll just bring another person into the relationship because, you know, she doesn't like this thing or he doesn't like this thing. It just causes an absolute mess of things.
Her and I are going on our 10-year mark of marriage. Even from early on, we both felt there was something missing. We weren't unhappy with each other in this regard, but eventually agreed that we wanted to have another person. So we started searching about 7 years ago. When Meg joined us, we felt as if we all completed each other, and now we're stronger than ever before.
Another
Oh my god. Okay, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you feel that there is something missing in your marriage to the point where you have to start dating another person, that is not a good sign. There is something wrong with your marriage if you believe this. If you have been married for 10 years and you claim that you are so happy, why do you need to date another person? Why do you only feel half complete? And guess what, Scorch? Here is the harsh reality. There is an issue in your marriage that you are not addressing. You see, the whole there is something missing in the marriage is actually a very common issue that people who are in marriages often run into, to the point where you can find all kinds of lists that go over this. In fact, one of the number one occurrences of the situation you just described is right here. One or both of you isn't fully committed. You're in, kind of, you made a commitment to the relationship in your mind, but not fully in your heart. Perhaps one of you is regularly asking for more, and the other is reflexively withdrawing, withholding, or acting microaggressively. Either way, you are constantly dancing around each other. One of you always chasing the other, trying to pin pin them down. The harsh reality is, there is an issue in your marriage, Scorch, and rather than addressing the issue, you decide that you need to start dating another person. How is this any different than what a cheater would do? In fact, let's look at the definition of infidelity, shall we? Infidelity: the action or state of being unfaithful to a spouse or other sexual partner. Now, you can try to say that it's an open relationship, so therefore this is okay, but here's the harsh reality. You can dance around it all you want, but what you are doing is no different than what a cheater would do. How is this any different from your wife going behind your back to date Mag? Oh, well, as long as she tells me that she's doing it and I'm okay with it, then it automatically makes it okay. No, that's not how it works. If a teacher comes to an agreement with two students to let them cheat on a test, does that suddenly make it not cheating? I ask you this.
Another point that I wanted to add was that poly also helps out with families when people start having kids and whatever not. Nowadays, it's really hard to be a stay-at-home mom with one person working. But in a poly relationship, two people can be working and X amount of people who could be raising the kids. Maybe there could be even more help to raising kids depending on how many people there are in the group. It just depends on the dynamic relationship everyone agrees to in the group, just like a two-person relationship. And I'm just gonna be saying that because I'm tired of saying mono bleh. I've been kind of saying a lot that they are very similar, but in the way they kind of are, our poly relationships aren't that much different than a two-person relationship in terms of dynamics and whatever.
I was hoping that you would bring this point up. All too often, people who support polyamory will bring this point up, and it is absolute bullshit. And this goes back to your stupid more mentality. Yeah, no shit, having more people around can help with kids. That's why oftentimes people hire babysitters, nannies, or they'll sometimes call a uncle or grandparent to have them come help with the kid. However, just because you're in a polyamorous relationship does not automatically make it better for the kids. In fact, there are many studies and many doctors that will tell you that polyamory is actually worse for kids. Polyamory is not the ideal scenario for children to experience as their parents' lifestyle. It is any assertion that it is less than ideal with potentially traumatic effects. Those in polyamorous relationships wish to see the positive for children, as these adults are living a polyamorous lifestyle, thus they certainly would not want to think they are emotionally damaging their children. But to announce it as a great thing for the children, report how wonderful it is for kids, is simply going too far and deluding oneself. Let's get real. Polyamory is not something you do for your kids to have a better life. Polyamory is something you do for yourself because it is something you want and you yearn for. You see, polyamory can cause a lot of confusion or possible mental damage to the kid. Think about it this way. A kid simply having two parents of the same sex can cause a lot of confusion. Or, moreover, there are often times where kids only having one parent is enough to damage them. Think of a scenario of what you just described. You are off working because you are extremely busy and you need someone within the polyamorous relationship to take care of the child. However, let's say that person decides to tell the kid that that person is their mother or father, and the kid starts to believe it and view them as their mother or father, even if they are not the biological mother or father. And let's say that they become far more attached to that parent than you, and you are not able to get the same love and affection from your child, or they start to resent you. Because one thing that often breaks kids is the fact that parents are never around. So actually having another person in the relationship that would possibly pose as a mother or father can actually damage the kid, because they will see that person as their mother and father, and they will not grow attached to you. And depending on the person's personality, let's say for example they decide to get pissed off at you, and while you're at work they decide to mysteriously disappear with the child. However, they can use the fact that they were in a polyamorous relationship to get away with it, and if you are married to them, they can use the divorce laws to easily strip the child away from you. It doesn't make things better for the kids. You think that, well, there's more people taking care of the kids, so that's automatically a good thing. Okay, let's say you are so busy that both of you can't take care of a kid, or it's just too stressful for whatever reason. That's why you could hire a nanny, or a babysitter, or a good friend. Like, your solution is not ideal. And when it comes down to it, polyamory is not about the children. It is about you. And this is one thing that's been annoying me throughout most of this video. You keep bringing up you and Scorch and your wife. You keep bringing it up like it's a piece of anecdotal evidence, and you keep making arguments of, well, we feel this way, or it makes us stronger, but you can't give any reasonable arguments as to why. In fact, when you do have strong emotions that are a sign of bad things going on in your marriage, you ignore it and only bring up the positive emotions that you're feeling good. And that is an argument I have seen you make, Mag. You say that it feels good, so therefore it's okay. However, just because something feels good doesn't make it okay. It might feel good for me to have sex with my mother, but does that make it okay? No, it does not. And all of this is nothing more than a piece of anecdote at best, because this is not about you, Scorch. This is not about you, Mag. This is not about your relationship. However, you are constantly making this about your relationship, showing that this has nothing to do with the argument of polyamory. You don't care about this debate because you barely address the points and arguments. You provide no evidence whatsoever. You just bring up your relationship as a piece of anecdotal evidence, and it doesn't work at all. You don't even go into any of the arguments that people would have, with the exception of maybe the religious side, and all you do is just bring up your feelings. Well, newsflash, it's not about you, and I got a pretty damn good feeling that if you were not in a polyamorous relationship, you wouldn't give two shits. This is not about polyamory, Mag. This is about you. You wanting to justify your controversial lifestyle. And the fact that you keep going out of your way to promote this, even paying another YouTuber to promote it on his channel, when you know damn well he would never promote it otherwise, comes off as extremely narcissistic.
I saved this for last because it's religious, but I said previously that we're Christians. But in a poly relationship, how? It is true that the reason why a lot of people don't like poly is because of the church. And I didn't really like the church anyway before I became a poly. But to as far as I know, other than dating a girl, which I don't really care about anyway, I'm not cheating, I'm not being unfaithful, just adding a new member, and I didn't steal Scorch from Raven, I was just added to the group.
Now, I'm not the strongest believer in Christianity or in the church at all, but the church has actually had a long history of poly in the Bible. Let's start with some of the Mosaic laws, or also known as the laws of Moses. The Mosaic laws likewise accommodated the practice of marrying more than one wife, including captured prisoners from foreign conquest. Deuteronomy 21:1-17. Gideon, one of the Israel's champions, had many wives. Elkanah, a presumably godly man and the father of Samuel, had 2 wives. Chronicles chapter 4:5. And Asher, the father of Tekoa, and 2 wives, Elah and Noah. Samuel 2 chapter 5:13. After Elah were born, David took more concubines and wives in Jerusalem, and many sons and daughters was born to him. Samuel 2 chapter 12:8. I gave you your master's house and his wives and the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, and if that had not been enough, I would have given you much more. There's many more examples in the Bible. I'll be leaving the links in the description.
So to conclude, in this video we designed poly, debunked some common stereotypes, and answered a few questions. If there's anything we missed or got wrong, please let us know in the comment section below or make your own video response. We would love to see it.
Remember how I told you to remember the point that they brought up that they're Christians? Well, this is why. Because they are total hypocrites. Both of them keep contradicting themselves throughout the whole video. They bring up that they're religious, but when it's not convenient for them, they all of a sudden don't care. Like she said, polyamory is not okay in religion, and the only other thing I could think of is dating a girl, which I don't care about. Are you starting to get the mentality now? Well, I don't care what the Bible has to say about this. I don't care if it says I can date a girl and a guy at the same time. This is fucking ridiculous. Did neither of you proofread this video to see if it made any goddamn sense? How many times can you contradict yourself in one goddamn video? And this is why people don't take religion seriously, because of people like you, people that cherry pick quotes from the Bible that are convenient for them, people that use religion to try to justify certain things in their life. And it is absolutely pathetic. Also, I love listening to this. It makes me laugh at how they make points like there aren't preferences in the group, to which I can only laugh hysterically at when they talk about the different types of love. They know the counter argument of, well, that's different, ha ha ha, laugh my fucking ass off, y'all are so sad. I mean, seriously, when you talk about kids, do you really want to set an example of, yeah, just bang anybody? What could go wrong? Then they talk about religion. Neither of you are practicing religion. No? Really? Also, I love how they use the Old Testament without recognizing why Christians no longer follow Mosaic law. Hell, there's some Jews that don't. The Old Testament is no longer valid, and the Old Testament is also the same book that tells you to kill gay people. This video is an absolute disaster. Everything about it is poorly made. You say that you wanted to debunk some stereotypes. You debunked approximately 0 stereotypes. You say that I didn't steal Raven from Scorch. I was just merely added to the group. Are you fucking serious? Are you even listening to yourself? And you are putting this man's marriage at risk. And for what? This is fucking ridiculous. It boggles my mind how you can not only take this seriously, but actually pass off this video as good. And you say that you're gonna make more videos with more stuff and more answers. Do us all a favor, Mag, and don't. If your videos are going to be as poorly made as this one, don't even bother. You know the reason why you received so much backlash? It's because all people see is a woman and a man justifying infidelity. That's all they see. You don't actually address any of the real issues of polyamory or any of the arguments against it. You just bring up your relationship with Scorch because it's all about you. It's all about your relationship. And if my religion that I so totally follow says that I can't have a polyamorous relationship, well, fuck it. I just don't care. Because you are childish and immature. And this is not an attack on your character. You have admitted on public posts that you are childish and you are a self-proclaimed dumbass. These are words coming from your own mouth, Mag, and you know it. You don't give a shit about your religion. You only cherry pick when it's convenient for you, and throughout the majority of this video, you make it about you and your precious little feelings. This is such a disgusting video. It made me sick to my stomach. And you know what? I genuinely hope that you keep receiving backlash and the hammer of shame gets brought down on you so you can get snapped back to your senses. And as for you, Scorch, you need to stop this nonsense. You are putting your marriage at risk. There is something wrong in your marriage and you need to address it before you lose your wife and before you lose Mag or before you're forced to pick between one of them. Because if you honestly think that you can have a successful relationship with both of them and love them equally, I got news for you. You are delusional and naive if you believe this. So that's my thoughts. I'm sorry if this video seemed kind of long, but I had so much to say about it. There were so many problems with this video. But what do you think? Do you think that polyamory is still an okay thing and these people are just using it to justify their infidelity? Or do you think I'm wrong and they actually bring up some good points? Let's have a discussion in the comments.